Welcome to the Wild Type Podcast. I'm Lyssa Lizards.
I'm Neptune and Chameleon.
And we're your reptile girlies. We are back in action post-Tinley weekend.
I don't know if I'm okay yet.
Yeah, I'm for sure not good.
No, that was literally the best weekend ever.
Oh, hands down. Yeah.
But we are recording the Friday after Tinley.
Yes.
Just like timeline for people.
So it's officially been over a week since we traveled.
It does
to
not feel
Chicago.
like that.
No, it literally feels like yesterday and I'm still recovering.
I would say it took me like a good 3 days.
Oh, 4.
Like Wednesday, Thursday, I was like, okay, I kind of feel like myself again.
It is Friday and I'm not
100%, but I'm like,
yeah,
I'm pep in my step.
I'm back up to like 95%, but like I am not all the way there.
Tuesday,
man.
I was 20%.
Oh, Tuesday was so rough.
I was in the office. I very much intended to work from home, to be clear.
Yeah.
And then Monday night, I was checking my work calendar because I was out of office, whatever, and was reminded that my manager was going to be in town.
Oh.
I was like, oh, guess I'm going into the office.
Dude.
I was not okay.
No. I'm sure you were a walking zombie. Absolutely.
Really, I was there, but I wasn't there, you know?
I still feel mildly loopy.
But we're going to debrief, guys. First things first, though, shirts.
Yes, I'm so excited. So we obviously always try to like pick up an NARBC shirt when we can, especially when they come out with their new designs.
Yeah.
And they're usually designed by the wonderful Adeline Robinson. And she's got incredible art at all the NARBC expos. But mine is the green anaconda because, I had to do it.
Mine's a little froggy.
He's so cute. He's so cute. I love him.
I love the blues.
I had a really hard time choosing between that one and the green anaconda, but it's the first time they've had a green anaconda on there, so I like really had to do it.
Yeah.
So I would love to get one with a yellow one day, but
yes, because my other one was a carpet python, the last show we went to, and so I felt like I wanted to get something different than a snake, but totally understand why you got the anaconda. Let us know in the comments. Would you have picked the anaconda shirt or froggy shirt?
Yeah, let us know, because I was very torn between the two.
As was I, because
they were pretty sick. Fabulous. Yeah.
So yeah, shirts, check. Other thing, I was in the ER. Oh, I should clarify. We were in the ER.
Okay, let's set the stage here for a hot second, because this was nuts.
Rewind in time.
This was nuts.
To last Monday.
Okay, so the Thursday night of Tinley was upcoming. The Monday before we left for Tinley, we obviously had to record our last episode.
Yes.
So the episode that you guys just listened to, we recorded on the Monday before Tinley.
Yep.
We were sitting in these exact chairs filming this podcast.
Yep.
And right before we hit record, she looks at me and she's like, oh, weird. My foot feels kind of funny.
Yeah, it was a little achy.
Yeah, she was like, my foot kind of hurts. That's weird. And I was like, weird. Anyway, record.
Yeah,
and we recorded.
Didn't think anything of it.
Thought nothing of it. By the time we hit end record on this podcast, you look at me and you're like, Lyssa, I don't think I can put weight on it.
It hurt.
And I was like so confused because all we've been doing for the whole hour is sitting here podcasting.
Literally sitting in this chair. We had Campbell with us.
Yes.
He was hanging out.
Yes.
And like, I'm curious if anyone watching back, like now all of you are going to go back to the last episode. But like, I was kind of fidgeting a bit because like it was hurting. So I was like trying to get into a spot, and it was just progressively getting worse and worse and worse as all I'm doing is literally sitting here. Granted, I hadn't done anything prior to that.
No.
I had like when I showed up at your house, fine. By the time I sat in the chair to pod, it was a little achy. By the time I stood up, I was like hobbling.
She couldn't put weight on it.
I couldn't get down the stairs very well. I was like kind of like hopping.
Yeah.
Then we were like sitting, debriefing, like transferring files, whatever we usually do. I didn't even get the chance to transfer the file because it was swollen. It was hot to the touch.
Yep.
I could not, at that point, within 20 minutes of being done recording, I couldn't even stand on it.
Yep.
No range of motion. I could barely wiggle my toes.
Yep.
And it was like 10 p.m., guys.
Yep. It was crazy. So finally, like we just kind of sit there and I was like, we should probably go to the ER.
Yeah, so I called my mom. Like, hey, mom.
Damn near 30 years old and still calling our moms.
Yeah. Of just like, just giving you a heads up, like, because I'm like,
Lyssa's taking me to the ER.
I feel like someone should know besides you that, like, this is what's happening. And then you're like, I'll go with you. And I'm like, no. Like,
you were trying to tell me that you were going to, like, drive yourself. And I was like, I don't think so. I don't think we should do that. I don't think that's the move.
Yeah. So I'm like Googling urgent cares. They're like pretty much all closed because it's like after 10 p.m.
10 p.m. Yeah.
So we need an emergency room.
Yeah.
And I'm like, dang, because no one goes to an emergency room and thinks it's going to be cheap or quick. No. So we get in there. She like drops me off at the curb.
Yeah.
And I'm like hopping at this point because I cannot walk on it. And so I hit the handicap button to like open the door because I'm like hopping in. And then there's no one else in the waiting room. So the lady was like, I thought someone was like pranking us because they didn't see me initially because it took me a minute to like hop up. To hop up to the counter. And she's like, sometimes kids will like run by and just like press the button.
Ding dong ditch. Yeah.
And she saw I was hopping. They immediately put me in a wheelchair.
It was so, by the time I got to the front door to help, you were being wheeled back. And I was like, I'm coming.
And I was like, can you let my friend know that I'm like,
I was like, I'm coming. Wait.
She was like carrying her giant water and her backpack and like and my backpack and everything
I didn't know
else.
how long we were going to be there. So I was like,
you brought your Switch?
I brought my laptop. I was like, well, if I'm going to be sitting around, like I still had like work stuff I needed to do. So I was like, I might as well. I didn't end up getting anything done, but whatever.
Yeah. Okay. So then we're now the only people in this ER.
That's it.
Which was like a standalone ER, to be clear. It wasn't like attached to a hospital.
Yeah.
But I figured we'd be seen faster.
Which we were immediately seen.
Yeah. So they like checked my heart rate, checked my blood pressure. I have to do like the whole questionnaire thing. Had to do it twice because it didn't save the first time. They like had the doctor come in and like check it out and like that didn't really get a ton of answers. No. They did x-rays, came back clear. They decided to give me a narcotic shot, like in the arm. It was originally supposed to be in the tushy. And I was like, is there anywhere else?
Could we not put it in my butt? That'd be cool.
They said we could do the arm.
Yeah.
Opted for the arm.
It worked out.
So did that. Give that like, what'd you say, like 20, 30 minutes?
Over 30.
Over
it was
30.
Probably
no
30.
Sense of time.
It was probably 30 to 45 minutes.
Nothing.
Yeah.
Foot is still
throbbing. And I also will throw this out there. You also like walked in, hopped in.
Could not walk.
Did not walk. You hopped in, and as soon as you sat on the chair, because you and I are very similar when it comes to like pain tolerances and things like that, you were saying that your pain was like out of 10, but your face wasn't showing it because I know you have a high pain tolerance, and you were being like super friendly with the nurses and this and that, and you were like being all chatty, but like I could tell that as it was going, that was starting to drop and you were getting worse and worse.
Yeah, because it was still sitting truly at level 10. If I wasn't doing anything, if it was just sitting there, I would say it was like a 7.
Yeah.
But as soon as I moved it,
or
it
anybody
spiked.
touched it too, it was immediate acute pain.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it was throbbing coupled with acute pain.
Yeah.
X-rays come back clear. They gave me the narcotic shot. Nothing. And then they decided to do like an IV drip.
Yep.
So they would put in an IV, and then they give me a narcotic through the IV.
Anti-inflammation something.
Yes, and it was anti-inflammation, which I think truly is what did it. Was the anti-inflammation, not even the narcotics.
Yeah.
Also, fun fact, redheads are...
I did not know this.
Have a higher tolerance for anesthesia and like numbing medicine. So like when I go to the dentist, he always has to give me extra. When I've had surgeries before, the anesthesiologist asked me if I'm natural redhead, and I'm like, yep. And he's like, I'm up for the challenge, because it truly like redheads just synthesize it faster.
That's so crazy.
Yeah.
Such a random fun fact.
Yeah, because it's a mutation of the gene, which is like obviously the hair, but there's more to it than just that.
The hair. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I think I needed like the second round of the medication
really
to like
feel a difference.
Really feel it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so they ended up saying it was complex regional pain syndrome.
Yeah. Which is so weird.
Which feels very fluffy.
It feels so vague. It feels like hey, we can't come up with something, so this is what we came up with.
Yes. And it's because I've broken my ankle multiple times. I've had surgery on that ankle. And so I guess what can happen.
And your knee too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lots of things. And my other ankle, but who's counting? There can be flare-ups.
Yes.
And so the doctor was like, this is a flare-up. Because if there's trauma to that area, which I haven't broken my foot in like 15 years.
Yeah.
Long time, right? more than that. So like I was like, even this much later,
and
like
he said with a very direct answer, yes, it can.
And I was like into this level of pain.
Yeah.
Like this is not achy. This is like
No.
debilitating
Yeah.
pain.
Crazy.
So he's like, so you could have future flare-ups. And I was like,
meanwhile, mind you, we're all sitting here and we're getting no answers. We're being told these flare-ups can happen at any time, anywhere. And we are supposed to get on a plane in less than 72 hours to go to Chicago.
Yeah.
So we're
where
sitting
I'm gonna
there
be
like
on my feet in a packed like
So we were
Expo.
sitting there like, is our Expo weekend just completely screwed? What are we doing here?
I told her on the way to the ER, I was like, look, if you have to push me in a wheelchair, I don't care. Like, as long as I don't have to have surgery, like, I'm going.
She was like, as long as I can get around in a chair, I'm good. We're going to Tinley. I was like, I'll wheel you anywhere.
So they their solution was like medication and physical therapy if it doesn't get better. We ended up having to go to a pharmacy at like 2 a.m, 2:30, whatever it was.
We didn't get home till 3:30.
Yeah. So we got prescription. They gave me anti-inflammatory, a narcotic, like pain meds, nerve medication, whatever, like 3 different things. And he's like, this is the perfect cocktail, whatever. So anyways, so I slept with my foot elevated. The second narcotic like did its job because then I like wasn't feeling it. I feel like mentally though, I was like
you
pretty
were
solid.
Great mentally. You never were like mentally not there. It was all just physical. Yeah.
When I think back to it, I definitely feel like I was a little foggy, but
For
like
sure. Yeah.
I was on it.
No, but you were fully with it. Yeah, you were good.
The pharmacy was right next to a Taco Bell, so we ended up getting food because like usually we eat after we podcast, but that just totally got wiped. And then she goes to pull out her wallet to pay for the Taco Bell. And I was like, put your wallet away. And you're like, no, I can pay. I was like, it is 2:30 in the morning. Let me buy your Taco Bell.
I was like, fine, that's fair enough.
Let me buy your Taco Bell.
Fair enough.
Even though I almost dropped $2,000 at the
that's why I wasn't going to make you pay for the Taco Bell. I was like, it's fine. But
I'm like, this is the cheapest thing I've bought all day. Let me get your $7 in Taco Bell. It's no biggie.
It was as soon as you looked at me and you were like, it is 2:30 and you just took me to the ER. I was like, yeah, you're right. You can pay. Cool.
Let me get your Taco Bell. You want extra large? I'll get you an extra large. So anyways, so then I was able to sleep fine. I had my foot elevated. Day 2, I was on crutches. I had them coincidentally because I have broken my foot multiple
had so many
times,
injuries. Yeah.
And it's a good investment. Yeah. So I hung on to them. They were like in my garage covered in spider webs, but it's fine. I was on crutches. I took the day off from work. I like texted my manager at like 2:30 in the morning. I was like, BTW.
I'm in the ER.
Taking a sick day. I had my foot elevated on the couch, icing it, the whole thing. But I did feel a little bit better by the end of the day. I guess next day after that, I guess technically day 3, but since it was in the evening, it felt like second full day.
Yeah.
Then I was able to hobble around. And then at that point, I wasn't taking any narcotics. So I got my car because I was still at your place. And I was like wobbling. And then by like Wednesday, I was walking just slowly.
Yeah.
And then I was like, okay, I think I can get away with not having crutches.
Which I was very much like, you should bring them.
Do I fly with them?
I was like, you should bring them just in case.
So I was like, let me see how I feel Thursday morning. Yeah. Thursday morning, I'm walking.
Yeah.
I'm good.
She was totally fine. I was shocked. You were doing great.
I was walking. Now, I couldn't walk quite as fast because we went to the airport and you were like,
yeah.
And I'm like, wait for me.
Yeah. I had to slow my pace.
I can't walk that fast. And I brought my medication with me. So like all is well. I'm literally fine now.
Yeah, which is so bizarre.
I'm still taking the anti-inflammatory and the pain med once in the morning just to like let it do its thing, whatever. I did go to a regular doctor on Wednesday. They checked me for a blood clot. That was clear. So like if you have one, you can't fly. And I was like, Also out of network, paid for that. It's fine. But I needed an appointment like that afternoon because we were flying in the next day. So anyways, I'm okay now, but that was literally the days leading up to Tinley. I was like, am I about to do Tinley on crutches?
You want to know something that's really insane? Just in regards to all this, Tinley was so crazy that until we got in this room, I forgot about all the ER stuff.
Oh yeah, because we go through our notes. And I was like, we should talk about the ER.
And I was like, that was only a week ago. Oh my God.
Yeah.
I just feel like a lifetime has happened since then that I forgot that even occurred. It was crazy.
So yes, I'm okay. If you have any experience with nerve pain or things like that, let me know, because it literally was unprompted. Like I didn't
It was
do
so
anything.
crazy. Literally, well, and when it happened, we have like a doggy gate at the top of our stairs because, you know, Campbell's absolutely not allowed in the reptile room without me. And so I thought that you had just like whacked it on that and it bruised or something. And so I kept asking you that and you were like, no.
Literally nothing.
It was so bizarre. All we were doing was sitting
fine.
here. Yeah. And all the doctors and nurses kept asking you that too. Like, well, what were you doing? We were like sitting, talking on a podcast.
Literally
like
nothing. Yeah. So anyways,
crazy.
We still have lots to unpack.
Yeah, that's just the wild precursor leading up to
Tinley,
the trip.
I first want to say the river was not green.
No, and I will cry if I think about it too much because I was so excited.
We even told you guys on the pod that the episode before, we're like, this time, you know, by the time this episode's come out, we would have seen the green river.
Nope.
You know why? Because we got there Thursday, and then we were at the convention center Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and you know when they turned the river green?
Saturday.
I
was so pissed. I'm still mad about it.
So we saw the river, but it was not green.
It's not green. We just saw the normal river that we have seen before.
Which, granted, is cool.
It is cool. It's super cool.
And the little hot tub boats. That was pretty cool.
That was sick, and that was new. I had never seen that before.
Literally boats filled with water. That was hot water.
It was really cool. That was really cool, and I would like to do that someday. It's now on my bucket list. I would enjoy that.
So yeah, that was a little bit of a bummer. Yeah. I also think I've come to the conclusion that I don't like deep dish pizza.
That's so funny because I love it.
Because we got it, of course, while in Chicago.
Yeah, that was like our one requirement besides the Green River.
I just like, I think there's too much sauce and not enough cheese.
I will give you that. I fully agree. But if you do have the right amount of cheese, like in equivalence to the sauce, like if the sauce and the cheese ratio is about 50-50, I'm a very happy camper.
Yeah, I like the crust and there's the cheese, then the sauce, and I think I just need like extra cheese on top.
Yeah, I would agree
personally.
With that. I would agree with that.
That's just my hot take.
Yeah. No, I usually, sometimes I'll even get light sauce on pizzas because I'm not a big sauce girl. I like more cheese and bread, you know.
Same.
Yeah. So
those are my Chicago thoughts. Where do you want to start though with all this?
Dude, I don't know. It's so insane. There's like, I feel like Tinley was just such a life experience this time around.
Yes.
Because we haven't been since 2021. So we should probably start with Friday morning when we drove in from downtown Chicago to Tinley Park, right? Yep. So we like immediately hopped in our Uber and we went to go and meet the Pangea team for breakfast.
Yes. So for you guys don't know, the Pangea crew actually extended us an invitation to come to Spring Tinley. And they're like, hey, we would love you guys to help us set up, tear down, you know, and then you're like, welcome to do whatever you want during the shows, but like, we'll like take you to dinners and like whatever, and like you can come hang out with us, whatever. Like, and love that.
You guys have obviously heard their ads. They are podcast sponsors. So we've always loved the Pangea team. So it was really exciting to get the invite to go with them and have that experience. So
so we show up 8 a.m.
Yep.
Actually 8:15 because our driver canceled on us and we had to get a second driver.
Yeah,
but
that was a whole thing. But it's fine.
8:15. We were going to be on time, I promise you.
Yeah.
So we get breakfast with all of them. That was great. We pop over to the convention center and it's like empty.
I've never seen the convention center empty. It was really cool to get to see that.
Empty tables, just rows and rows and rows of empty tables.
Yeah.
Now, Pangea had, I would confidently say, the biggest booth.
Confidently. So, like, if you are used to normal expos, you'll see, like, one booth.
Like an 8x10.
Like an 8x10. Yeah. They probably had 3 or 4, right?
4 or 5.
Really?
Yeah, because we had to move all those tables and take all the covers off.
Right.
It was like 4 or 5.
Yeah.
Like long and then like deep.
Yeah.
Probably another 2 tables.
And essentially like what they do is they, of that big space, they create like a little mini reptile store in there. It's so freaking cool. And getting to witness that from like the back end, from getting to like see it behind the scenes was really cool to see how all that worked.
So Tinley is Pangea's home show.
Yes.
Everyone's going to home show, the one that's closest for them, that they typically go a little bit bigger.
Yes.
Because it's easier to get all your stuff, whether that's animal supplies, etc.
Yeah.
So this is their home show. It was like a 2-hour drive for them. So they had a trailer full of
everything.
Stuff. Then they had like 5 or 6 pallets
that they had shipped.
Yes, that were like taller than us.
No, guys, the cork bark pallet was insane.
They sold out.
First off, they said that they don't usually bring a full pallet.
They usually bring half a pallet.
They brought a full pallet and they sold out of all the cork bark. And when I say pallet, I don't think you guys are comprehending that it was probably 12 feet tall.
Right. So it's like your standard wood pallet, but they stacked it crazy high, saran wrapped the whole thing. It was a mountain of cork bark.
Easily over 10 feet tall. It was huge. I was very much like, whoa.
That's not bark. So they had that, plus they had all their other pallets of just enclosures. Yeah. So our job was to not get in the way.
Yeah.
Because they had like 5 or 6 Pangea crew, which like only one guy had never done a show before. The rest of them like had done multiple shows.
So they very much have their groove of like, they know who does what, they know who puts what where everything goes. And so we're total newbies. So we're standing there like, okay, give me a task that isn't going to interrupt the chaos that you guys have perfected.
Very much so.
So yeah, so we were trying not to get in the way. We were asking for tasks. So
we were there for 9 hours.
Crazy. So it started off where like we essentially had to pull everything off the trailer.
Yep.
And what I thought was really cool is that a lot of their stuff is actually on the like kind of baker's rack situations where they're on wheels. So all they do is saran wrap that stuff. So they set it all up at home, like at their, warehouse or wherever they're at. And they set it all up and they saran wrap all the way around. So some of the stuff, all we had to do was wheel it off and wheel it all the way into the convention center and then unsaran wrap it and make sure it all looks
and
good.
that would be like their Pangea food, their cups, their lights, their ledges,
the bowls, the water bowls,
bioactive supplies, all that.
Yeah, everything
was there. The big things that were on the pallets were the enclosures.
Yes.
Was the wood.
All the substrate.
Those were like the big heavy things. And of course those are like obviously really heavy. Crazy. So we're like slicing boxes, we're pulling out enclosures, we're seeing if any enclosures are cracked. Broken, we're like organizing the substrates because they have the stuff that's going to be at the front for the customers. Then they're going to have like their back
inventory.
Yeah, of all the. So we were there for literally 9 hours. I think I walked like easily 10,000 steps.
Minimum. Yeah.
I think my watch clocked like 4 or 5 miles that I like walked.
It was nuts because the loading zone isn't anywhere near where the booth is. So you have to go all the way out to the parking lot, then through the loading zone, all the way through the convention center back to the booth. So it was like, I would say like, I don't know, 4 or 5 trips back and forth just doing that. Yeah. And then that's not including unloading it all, packaging it all up, making it all look nice. So
and then one of the Pangea guys was like, hey, I have a project for the two of you. Do you want to build enclosures?
We were like, hell yeah.
We're like, okay. So I get one, she gets one. And so we're like building out these enclosures, which like we can talk about those on it. Probably like a separate time. Yeah. We had to do like the Pangea banners. They've got like really big banners. They've got like 6 of them. They had to get all the little geckos, which they shipped, and like put them all into the little enclosures. We had to do all the electrical. We had to price everything.
Yeah, so like we had to literally look up on the website, okay, this costs this much. We had the little price guns, which was my favorite part, being like, I loved that.
It was very satisfactory.
It was very satisfying.
Yes. So we had to like price everything. And when I say everything, I mean every single item had to get a price sticker on it.
Yes.
So that like took a good chunk of time, making sure everything looks good, clearing out all the boxes. So like you can see that took a lot of time.
Yes, a lot.
And then we were like, okay guys, now that we're winding down, we brought a couple things, and we show up with our little box of like our neon sign. We brought that with us. Bring it. We brought our pull-up banner, and we brought about 30 shirts. Yeah. Like 10 of each color, a few of each size. So like for any of you who bought a t-shirt, thank you. Thank you.
It was so cool. And some of you guys even showed up with your shirts, which was so cool. That's a whole other thing. We'll get there. Sorry. I jumped the gun. I just got excited.
But we sold like 16 shirts. So we did have very limited inventory with us. So apologies if like your size was sold out. But like we were like, what can we travel with?
We can only travel with so much as 2 girlies.
Yes, with a 50-pound bag limit. So then we also had our stickers. So we passed out a bunch of those. So like we found different ways that we could kind of like put our stuff in the booth, which like the Pangea crew was like great about that.
They were wonderful, just like collaborating with us and like helping us make sure that like our stuff was represented too. It was really great.
Yes. So at that point, it's been like 9 hours. We have maybe 30 minutes to sit in our hotel room at the convention center, which was like very nice before we have to get ready for dinner.
Yeah.
And this isn't any old dinner.
No. This is a big dinner.
Do you want to talk about the attendees for the dinner?
Yes, there were quite a lot of people there. So it was us. It was the Pangea guys.
Yep.
It was Redline Shipping. It was Snake Discovery. It was Wiccan's Wicked Reptiles. It was all the Chewy people. So like the VP of Chewy was there, which was a really big, exciting deal. It was, who else am I missing?
That's all I wrote down. There's a few other folks, but like they kind of sat on the end of the table, so we didn't really have a chance to meet with them. But those were the big names. So this was like a very special dinner.
Very special dinner. It was very exciting
to be invited to.
Yes.
We've done dinner with the Pangea crew. We know Adam. We know Snake Discovery and stuff like that. So this was just like really cool to like have a seat at the big kids table.
Yeah, it was really fun.
So that was really enjoyable. I think that was really productive. I sat next to the Chewy Exotics like head guy. Yeah. So like that was really cool, and like they're doing some great stuff. So very excited for like what's to come. But this was kind of like the calm before the storm.
No, truly. Well, but also it was weird because usually when we go into day one of an expo, we're like rested and good to go. This time it was like, no, we just did 9 hours of manual labor. So it was like very exciting, calm before the storm, but also like, help, I'm already tired.
And on Saturday, I think early show is at like 8, 9, 8, something like that. I remember being up before 7.
Oh,
and being
easy.
Like zoinked,
yeah,
right? Like
100%.
I think we got up at like 6 a.m. We gotta like make sure, and now it's show day, so we gotta have our cute outfits.
Yes.
We gotta have our hair and makeup done. We gotta make sure we've got our tripods, our backpacks. Like this is like
go
show
time.
day.
Go time. Having our little passes, everything. Yeah, it was a lot.
First impressions, Tinley.
Dude, like it's so crazy because I'm so used to going to like shows and stuff. I mean, we've been going for a long time, but it's next freaking level, dude.
It was the biggest, bestest, Everest, whateverest show I've been to.
No, 100%. Easily topping the 2021 Tinley too. I mean, it was crazy how huge it is. The variety of animals is insane.
So let's break it down.
Yes.
First things first, get a VIP pass.
Hell yes.
Because you get in 1 hour before everyone else, which means, and you got people got to come on Friday as well with the VIP pass. You come Friday, so people were literally shopping
while
Friday.
we were setting up.
Yeah, someone came over with their Chameleon they just bought, and I was like, oh cool, like as I'm like pricing stuff. Yeah. But they get in an hour early, which makes a big difference. Yes. Because it's still busy, but it's not packed.
Yeah.
But the line to get in both Saturday and Sunday, people were waiting, I think, an hour.
Yeah.
To get their ticket.
No, I actually received comments of people saying that they waited in line for an hour and a half just to get their ticket. So at the bare minimum, if you're not going to do VIP, at least get your ticket in advance. But VIP is going to get you in like to see everything without having to be shoulder to shoulder with people.
So the line was zigzagging, wrapping probably like 5 or 6 ways. All the way down the length of the entire convention center. It was absolutely nuts.
I was shocked by how long it was. I was fully not expecting that. That completely caught me off guard.
And it was like that pretty consistently.
Oh, the whole time. Because even on Sunday, when we were running around, we'll get to this, but when we were running around with Adam, we were looking at stuff, and I was like, it is wall to wall in this line.
Yep.
I mean, it was wild.
So Saturday was definitely the busiest day. So we get there, we stop by the Pangea booth. I was like, do you guys need anything? Whatever. They're like, we're good. We're like, see ya. Yeah. So we came up with a game plan. Yes. It's a giant rectangle, right? So we're like, we're going to start on one side and we're going to work our way as far as we can day one. Yeah. Just go up and down, and then day 2 we'll pick up
right
and
where
then
we
we'll
left
keep
off.
Going.
Exactly.
Fully prepared that there was no way we're gonna get through all those booths in one day. And we didn't even get to all of them because there was hallway booths. Yes. That we didn't even get
to see the hallway booths.
No. So we only saw. It's so sad. So we got through half of it in one day. So we picked it up and we like started working our way. Zigzagging. Oh yeah. Then we did the meet and greet. Then we worked our way through, and then we did another meet and greet, and then worked our way through. Yeah. So that was kind of like how our Saturday went.
Yeah. It was very much like part of it, meet and greet, pause, start it again. But
eat in there somewhere.
But yeah, God, which that was also like a whole chore. Like having to feed yourself in those moments is like
heaven forbid,
kill me. But also, just an FYI, if you're ever at Tinley and it's around lunchtime, catch us in the hallway on the floor.
That's literally what we did.
Charging our phones.
Also true.
So.
Okay, so do we want to start with, because like I feel like Saturday is when we saw a lot of the cool stuff.
Yes, we saw some of the coolest stuff on Saturday. Absolutely.
So one thing that I really liked were the dart frogs.
Yeah.
And I wanted to call this out because I think I had a realization in that I've mentioned on the pod, I've thinking about getting into aquatics.
Yes.
Right? But my thing with aquatics is the learning curve that comes with it, and then also like the sensitivity of everything. So I had this aha moment of like, are dart frogs like an in-between of not going full aquatics, right? Of having to do like learn the water system, whatever, but it's still very different and more of a look at this really, really cool animal that's like not one you would really interact with. And you get to build out this beautiful terrarium.
And obviously, like the offspring are very much aquatic before they become terrestrial. So I'm like, there's a little bit of an in between there. I could see that. That's a really good note.
So I was just like, maybe I'll get some frogs. So, yep.
No, that's a good one. So one thing that I really noticed is that there were a good amount of hybrid animals, which I thought was super fascinating.
Yep.
So the one that we kept running into was the Chihuahua crested gecko hybrids, which were insane.
So we saw one on Saturday and then saw two on Sunday.
Yeah. And so, but the one we saw on Saturday was my personal favorite.
Definitely the best one.
It looked like a freaking tiger. It was crazy.
Yes. So it had cresty eyelashes.
Yes.
Also, both of us will be posting a bajillion Tinley videos. So if you want like visuals for these things, like
check us
socials. Out. She'll be very much on TikTok, Instagram. I'll have my YouTube video, TikTok, Instagram.
Yeah.
If you want.
We're still currently processing all of the content that we
have. Yes, but I feel confident
taken.
by the time this episode comes out, we'll at least have like
a good
amount of
a lot of it out. So if you haven't seen it yet, check it out.
Because you need visuals for a lot of these.
Yes.
So the hybrid first one we saw had cresty eyelashes, cresty head shape, but then Chihuahua like tail. I felt like and had this like tiger pattern.
Yes.
With these like stunning oranges.
The oranges were crazy, and it was like popped up next to it. Wasn't like orange and black, but it was like orange and brown, and it was. I mean, it was incredible.
Versus the two that we saw on Sunday
were very pale.
Well, the bigger one was definitely more Chihuahua forward, right? And cresty, like it still had the cresty eyelashes, but very much had more of a Chihuahua body shape and coloring.
100%.
So it was like super interesting to see like which species kind of like took lead, I guess, or was like the more dominant trait.
And so the one that you'll see featured for the most part that we're talking about was like the really brown and orange one. That was from Crosstown Exotics, Colin. So we met him in 2021, Tinley, and we basically, he brought some like monkey tail skinks, like all kinds of stuff. And so he's wonderful. And so this time he had the Chihuahua cresty, and he also had a Gidgee, which I thought was really cool. It's kind of like a spiny-tailed looking skink little thing, which was really fascinating. But when we were talking to him about the hybrid gecko, he was basically telling us that the tail thing can be really interesting of whether or not it grows back, because it kind of depends on if that specific offspring like takes more after the Chihuahua or more after the cresty.
I was talking to someone else, and they were saying that they haven't had like the one we saw on Sunday, because I was trying them before you came up. They were saying that none of them have not been able to like regrow their tail.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Like okay, that's fascinating.
None of them have been frog butts, basically.
Yeah. So crazy. That's so interesting.
I understand that hybrid species can be a little controversial. We did not breed them.
Yeah.
We just saw them and thought they were cool.
Yeah.
But totally understand the nuances that come with that, and that opens up a broader conversation 100%. Of like the ethics behind it, and like would be so open to doing a future episode
for sure
on that. This is just show and tell.
Yeah.
So I just want to be clear that we are not giving our like.
I mean, if you want to vent in the comments about it, feel free.
Yes.
It's super interesting, and we're
just going to keep our thoughts to ourselves in this episode, because we have a lot to get through.
Yeah. At this point, it was just freaking cool to see. All right. That was it.
Absolutely. Okay. Then speaking of Chihuahuas, there was one Chihuahua breeder in particular that had these really, really stunning.
Yes.
You really need visuals for these. I know both of us will be posting videos about them, because they were like most chihuahuas are very green prominent.
Green with like reddish browns.
Yes, with the browns in there. These are more like gray chihuahuas.
And specifically, so I'm pretty certain, and if we have any Chihuahua breeder listeners, please let us know in the comments, but I'm pretty sure that what the ones we were looking at, and I know which ones you're thinking of, have what they call a white collar. Is what a lot of, I think, Chihuahua breeders call that, is like they specifically, and granted, these ones had a lot of like white all over, which was insane to see. But I think it's the white collar that is something that's a little bit more known for. So it's like very, very white, prominent on their neck, which is super cool. But these ones were pretty white all over, which was fascinating to see.
And there were a lot of animals at the show that were NFS. Yes. Which means not for sale, which means it's really, really cool.
Really special. And basically what they're saying is they're advertising, I have this and you don't. Hee hee hee.
Yes. Or like, I'm working on this project, check out this animal. Or if the price is right, and it's got to be really right,
you'll see that too.
Then they'll be sold. So I asked the Chihuahua breeder, I was like, hey, like, what would you ask for this? And he said 10 grand.
Yeah. Wild.
So, and there's a lot of animals on my list that are like fall in that category because they're just really cool, or someone's working on this really cool project, or it's a new, genetic whatever. And so there's not a lot of them. So you can like charge more for them. So
now, speaking of, you just said 10 grand. Do we want to talk about the 10 grand day gecko?
Yes.
That was freaking nuts.
Yes. I love those.
I love those. And I've never been into day geckos. This guy got me into day geckos.
So he was exclusively a day gecko breeder.
Yes.
I didn't see any other species on his table. There was one that caught my eye because it had these crazy, like,
I'm actually going to see if I can find his name.
Red orange colors. And I was like, wow, that's really cool. And I was like taking a picture of it, video of it, because I was like in awe. Because that was like, at the time,
it was the coolest day gecko I've ever seen.
Then we go to the other side of his table and I go, whoa, never mind, because on that side of the table was a paradox.
Yeah.
And if you don't know what a paradox is, because this was not a word we covered in our vocabulary, is basically when an animal is half and half. Yep. And now it doesn't have to be 50-50. It's just one part of them is one color and the other part of them is another color. We see this a lot with snakes. Well, they'll be like, my favorite paradoxes are when they're split through the spine, where on the left side is one color, on the right side is a different color. With these day geckos, there was a couple different combinations. One had a blue head. No, green head.
Green, yeah.
Green head?
No. Green blue head, blue head, green body.
Blue head, green.
I think.
Which was it? The head was one color, the body was another color. Then there was this other paradox that was like patchy, different colors. But these geckos were, to your point, $10,000.
Yes. And I couldn't find his name. I thought I had it. I have his business card somewhere, so I'll try to post it on my story and tag him or something. But this guy was exclusively day geckos. Some of the prettiest, most stunning day geckos I've ever seen. The paradox was freaking nuts.
He was like, they're not even fired up right now. This is them at their dullest color.
I was like, are you joking? How?
And not even the paradoxes, but just his other day geckos he had. Literally stunning.
Absolutely. I was completely in shock. I've never seen day geckos look that cool. Like and day geckos are really cool. Like I'm not saying they're not. It's
but
just
these were next level.
Honestly, frankly, this guy ruined day geckos for me because now I'm like, well, I'm only getting one if it's that cool.
Now I don't, between you and me, I don't know if he sold any geckos because they all
were
had
all
like
super pricey. Yeah.
Super pricey. And you had like, when you're purchasing an animal of that caliber or that rarity or that price tag, it's because you are also breeding them and you want that lineage or that genetic whatever in your breeding projects.
Totally.
So it's an investment. Very rarely would a pet keeper just drop 10 grand.
No.
So like we're very mindful that these prices are like crazy.
Yeah.
But again, a lot of them are listed as not for sale because it's unrealistic that anyone's going to actually buy them, and they're just really cool animals.
So freaking cool.
Can we just give some love to Pangea Reptile?
I mean, always. My geckos cannot get enough of their gecko food. Mine are actually pretty picky sometimes, but mine have never turned down the watermelon and fig and insect flavors. Pangea has so many flavors that even your pickiest gecko will find one they love.
And quick shout out because it's been such a fun project to work on my chameleon kits with Pangea. We've been able to provide amazing homes for hundreds of chameleons. With everything you need bundled into one easy kit, it's your one-stop shop for all your chameleon needs.
And if that's not enough, we're always shopping their cork bark and feeding ledges too. You can find everything you need at PangeaReptile.com. Hey reptile girlies! By now you've heard us talk all about Scratches, the social app that helps exotic pet owners like us find their people.
you can add photos of you and all your scaly babies, set your filter to reptiles, and start scrolling through your local pet parents who get it. Think of scratches as your way of avoiding the ever-looming "so do you have any pets?" question. Whether you're looking for friendship, romance, or someone who can pet sit your critters, your community is just a new match away.
Download Scratches today and start connecting with reptile keepers in your area. Available on iOS and Android. So one that I was very excited about was an adult female yellow anaconda.
Yes.
Love getting to see that because I always love getting to see how big Tarzan has the potential to get, which is really cool.
We always make a pit stop. We always make a pit stop for chameleons, and we always make a pit stop for anacondas.
Yeah. Yep. Or black night leopard geckos will always catch my eye as well. Big fan of those. And obviously
we did see those.
Monkey-tailed skinks. But it's always really cool when I get to see an adult yellow anaconda just because Tarzan still isn't there yet. You know, he's, I think, 4-ish going on 5 years old. So he's not huge yet. He's still, pretty average size.
So we saw the adult yellow, but we also saw a lot of green anacondas.
Tons of green anacondas.
Multiple breeders.
I was very surprised by that too, because that's not something you see super often. So that was really interesting. They were selling a lot of green anacondas. So there were some that I would say were probably in the 3 to 5 month range. And then there were some that were closer in the 6 months to a year range.
Yeah.
But fascinating.
Multiple breeders, multiple litters. And if we're talking anacondas, we got to bring up the one from
Megaconda.
Yes.
She's fabulous. We got to meet her. It was wonderful getting to meet her. But if anybody has seen on her social media, she does have, I believe she said she only has 2, but an albino green anaconda.
I did not realize what I was looking at.
No, me either.
Until we left the table.
Yeah. Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh, I realized it.
I did.
Because she let us hold it, which was insane.
I did not realize. Well, to be fair, I was filming on your phone and my phone, and you were holding a snake.
Yes.
And so I was very much like...
Yes.
And then she's like, do you want to hold it? And I was like, no.
And I was also incredibly anxious and nervous holding this snake, and I will explain why once we get to Sunday, so TBD on that.
Yeah, this was on Sunday. We're just talking animals at this point. Yeah.
So I'll explain why, but I was very uncomfortable holding that snake for a very specific reason, which was surprising, but it was insane. It was stunning. It was very unusual, and I know how rare that is.
It is a very yellow snake, and she had it sandwiched in her display case between 2 yellow retics, which I know she did on purpose because she told us she did it on purpose.
Yes.
To kind of disguise it, whatever, because I've heard multiple prices for the snake, and I think what it really comes down to is it's not for sale.
Yeah.
So but I've heard $100,000.
I've heard $100,000. I've heard $500,000.
I've heard $500,000.
Yeah.
They're not for sale.
Yeah.
They're not for sale. I don't even think if someone legitimately paid her $100,000,
I don't think she would
take
sell it. No.
Yeah.
And she said that she was like, I've only got 2 of them. They're really rare. They're not
and these are captive born.
Yes.
Whereas Mama, from what I'm remembering bits and pieces, was an import. And so these were one of the first captive born.
I think it was the first T positive albino captive born anacondas, which is why they're so incredibly rare.
Yes.
She has successfully created those, and
so check out the videos of those because those were stunning.
Absolutely
the
wild.
Anacondas were sick. Another snake I really liked was the white lip.
Yeah.
What is it called?
White-lipped python.
White-lipped python. I hadn't seen those before.
Yeah.
No surprise. It was black and white.
Yes.
And
you love anything black and white, let's be honest.
It's true. I'm Cruella de Vil. Twist my arm. But I thought those were so stunning, and I've never seen those in person. So that was just kind of a fun thing for me.
No, those were really fabulous. And it's not super often you get to see those either. So anytime you get to see them, it's really cool.
Then the toffee skinks.
The toffee skinks. I've never seen anything like that.
And this, guys, is what made this show so cool. And we haven't even gotten into the people. This is just the animals.
This is just the animals.
We did not see these at Pomona. We did not see these at Dallas. Definitely not at your local Repticon.
Nope.
These were just really cool animals that we just haven't seen before.
It's very much, Tinley is very much the show that all the breeders very clearly and obviously bring out their coolest stuff.
Yeah.
It is where they come in the community to basically bring their cool kid card and be like, these are the projects I'm working on. Look how sick this is. It is very much, while it's a show and they're trying to sell stuff, it's very clear that it is also a little bit of breeder to breeder show and tell.
Yeah.
Like,
so the toffee skinks were, I thought so when we went to Pomona, we saw the white skinks.
Yes. And I will say also, this breeder also specifically they had toffee skinks, and then they also had albino skinks, and these are blue tongue skinks, by the way. I don't know if we clarified that.
Oh, yes.
So toffee and albino blue tongue skinks, which are two things that are very rare, very much not common in the pet trade. It's not something, because the ivories that we had seen, I think ivories. That's what they're called, ivory.
Yes.
So ivory is not albino. This breeder also had albino, which is probably even more rare than the toffee, if I'm being honest. I don't know the details, but both of those, seeing those two colorations at one table was also like, whoa.
Yes. So those were stunning skinks.
Yeah.
There were, of course, tons of ball python breeders. Mm-hmm. One morph that is super hot right now is the puzzle morph.
Yes. For $15,000. I had that one written down.
Yes.
That was crazy.
So a bunch of breeders had puzzle somethings, right? Like something with the puzzle gene in it. So if you're looking at an expo and you see breeders that have kind of like the shelving, like kind of like rack displays, you have to look at their top rack, top shelf, because that's going to be their
not for sale rack.
That's going to be their most expensive. So I'll be honest, when I'm scanning ball python booths, I'm just looking at their top row to see if anything catches my eye. And at Tinley, 10,000, 12,000, 15,000, 10,000, 12,000, 15,000. Like all their top rows were like five digit price tags.
Easy. It was wild. So, okay, I have two more that I'm excited about. So one, I saw a lot of knobtail geckos.
Oh, that's true.
Which
yes.
I love the knobtail geckos. They're just a special little interest of mine that I just think they're so funny and just quirky, and they've got these big old frog eyes, and I don't see them a lot at other shows we go to.
Yeah.
So it was cool because I do feel like there were at least 3 tables that had not just one of them, like a lot of them, which was cool and unique. So very excited to see that. Now this one, I think this is the coolest thing.
Okay.
So when we were walking, I know we talked about how we were very strategic. We started off on the right-hand side and started working our way back. So when we first got there on Saturday, I ran into this woman who had a box of 4 yellow-spotted newts.
Oh, you and your newts. Okay. I'll let you talk about this.
I love newts. I think they are the coolest thing. And so I got really excited. So I wanted to go and find them. So we went and looked for them, and eventually we ended up finding them. So the yellow spotted newts are cool. I love those. However, I loved this breeder for this. He didn't even tell me what his like breeder name is, like what his brand was, because he doesn't do this very often and doesn't really like do much. He didn't even have his own table. He was sharing his table with somebody. This man had a sign up.
That's funny.
It's so cool. So there was a tank of a very obviously like aquatic salamanders of some kind, and I know what name they are. So it was called the Anatolian banded newts, but he didn't even say that. On it, he had a sign in front of this because this species is very rare, very complex, very like it is not something that the average keeper should just be buying. So this man had a sign that said, "If you don't know what they are, you don't need them." Mm-hmm. And apparently I even talked to the guy, and he was like, "Oh yeah, somebody got really mad at me about that." And I was like, "Really?" And he was like, "Yeah, no, he tried to like argue with me about it and was like trying to push me on it." And I was like, and apparently the guy told him like, "You're just proving my point that the sign is there for a reason."
Yes, absolutely.
And I was honestly very impressed because I think that there are more breeds or more species that people should do that with.
Have a disclaimer.
Have the disclaimer of, if you don't know what it is and you don't know how to care for it, keep it walking.
Yep.
Keep it walking. It ain't for you.
Yes.
So.
Okay. So one last thing on animals, then we can kind of switch gears for a second. Chameleons.
Yes.
So I only saw some sketchy looking Jackson's chameleons and one ball python breeder who had a clutch of panthers. Mm-hmm. That was it.
No chameleons.
No chameleon breeder. That was like a dedicated breeder.
Nope.
Only 2 kind of thrown in there chameleons, which in comparison to the Dallas show, there's always a few breeders. The Pomona show had like 6 or 7.
There was a lot
chameleon breeders.
Yeah.
So there was just like no chameleons.
No, it was so interesting. It's really one of the first shows I've been to that I was like surprised.
Yeah.
By that.
I do think there was baby veils. The same table who had the sketchy Jacksons also had some sketchy veils. But like I was like, where are the chameleons?
I feel like sketchy Jackson's chameleons and sketchy veiled chameleons really go hand in hand. You usually see them together.
You're not breeding them. They're not well. They're wild caught is usually what ends up happening. But so yeah, those were animals.
Yes.
There were so many more. Honestly, so many more. But
so many more. We can't even cover
highlights.
it all. Those are totally the highlights.
Yeah. Okay. Now we should talk about the meet and greets.
Oh, I'll cry.
So if you were at Tinley or if you've seen our videos, like we were literally like sardines. It's like 4 people wide and you're like taking 2 steps at a time because it's so packed. There is no way.
No.
If we were on one end of the show, that you'd be able to find us if you were on the opposite end. Now we did bump into quite a few people.
Yeah, which was
like
great.
Walking around, took pictures, said hi.
Just disclaimer, if you're at a show and you see us walking around, always say hi.
Okay, we said that before, but there's still some of you who still DM'd us and said that you were at the show and you saw us and you didn't say hi. So
say hi. We're normal people and we just want to say hi. That's why we go.
They're like, you look so busy. I'm like, I'm literally just filming videos.
Yeah.
Like, stop me.
Yeah. But also like, if we are too busy, we'll be like, hey, just 1 second. But like literally
just like wave and be like, I just want to say hi. Like,
I would say like the 2 main reasons we come to shows like this are to A, meet people.
Top reason,
number 1, and B, get content. And like we
see
can
cool stuff.
And we can like meet people and get cool content at the same time. So like always say hi.
Yes. So if you guys have been listening to the podcast, you know we did set meet and greet times. We did.
Thank God we did that.
Well, that's what I'm saying. 2 separate times because there's no way you would have found us otherwise.
No. And there were people that had come specifically to come and say hi.
Yep.
And so it was perfect that there was the meet and greet. So I'm really grateful that we did that.
Yeah. And I think doing like first half of the day, second half of the day also worked out well. So we were nervous Nellies, guys, because
we didn't know if anybody was going to show up.
We're like, and we're at the Pangea booth and I'm like, hey, we've got a meet and greet. Like, where should we stand? Like, where do you want us? And then I'm envisioning the Pangea guys watching us just stand there by ourselves for a half hour while no one shows up.
I was so scared that we were going to look like total losers. Like just standing there by ourselves.
Of like, so we're going to have this meet and greet and then no one shows up.
Yeah.
But you guys showed up.
You guys
and it
really showed up for us. And like, we can't tell you how much we meant because like you said, like we really didn't know how many people were going to come. We really didn't know. And it honestly surpassed our wildest dreams. Like
100%.
I can't, like the whole time we had like 30-minute time slots where we were like dedicated at that booth.
Yeah.
The whole 30 minutes every time we were chatting with people.
There was a point, there was like 3 or 4 of you like waiting.
There was like a little line and we were like, oh my God, we have like a little line. That's crazy.
You guys showed up in your Reptile Girlies merch.
Yeah. Oh, that made me tear up. I was like, oh, I couldn't even handle it. It was so
Showing
sweet.
up in your merch, or the people who got merch at the show was also really special.
Yeah.
I thought it was hilarious when a lot of the Reptile Girlies showed up with their reptile boyfriends or fiancés or husbands or whatever.
But also the Reptile Girlies who showed up with sick nails.
Yes, that was a lot of fun.
There were at least like 2 or 3 girls that were like, I have cool nails. Look at them. And I was like, ooh, yay. I was like,
we like compared nails for like
it was
a good 2 minutes.
It was such a cute little girly moment being able to like brag about all of our nails.
We got to pass out stickers.
Yep.
We got to meet a lot of you in person. So thank you guys to everyone who showed up.
We seriously can't thank you guys enough for coming. It means more to us than you'll ever know, but it was so fun.
I know. I wish I could remember everyone's names. We're like write them down next time.
I know.
But I know Kenzie gave us the paintings.
Oh my God, Kenzie. You are so talented. It was so incredible. You captured Kermit and Neptune so perfectly in your paintings. And I literally, when the Pangea team handed us these paintings, because we weren't there at the moment where she dropped them off, she custom painted Kermit, my tiger salamander, and Neptune, your chameleon.
Yeah.
As soon as I received this, I instantly teared up.
I saw them first and I was in shock. And I go, Lyssa. I was like, look. And you went.
I immediately was like,
and like
oh my God. I'm like tearing up thinking about it. I'm such a baby. Oh my God.
No, that was truly special. So Kenzie, I know we have both DM'd you separately from the podcast. We posted about it. Like we cannot express to you like how amazing that was.
So special.
Meeting Jennifer, who always goes ham in our comments. Like so appreciate chatting with you.
I know.
We met Rachel. We met Hannah. Do you have any?
Those are all the names I had on the top of my head.
Okay.
But there's so many more.
There's a Mackenzie.
There was a Taylor. Did you say Taylor?
No.
There was a Taylor. There was one of the girlies that I totally clicked with because she also did tarot. I think her name was AJ. I think. Then there was also a girly who was wearing a Taylor Swift shirt. I can't remember.
Yes.
I can't remember your name.
Preparing for a big move.
But yes, she was preparing for a big move,
Yes.
and she had a fabulous supportive man with her. We love that. So it was just, we really feel like we got to know you guys better.
We remember each and every one of you,
Yes.
and just want to say thank you
Yes.
from the deepest, bottomest part of our hearts.
I know.
Because that was like truly so special. And when other people talk to us about the podcast, like potential sponsors, business people, like whatever, whenever they talk to us about the podcast, they're always so complimentary on like how the podcast looks.
They're like, oh, the branding is great. Oh, the lighting is so cool. Nobody's doing the lighting like you guys are, this and that.
Which like is amazing. So appreciative because we bust our little booties to like make that happen.
Good, yeah.
However, when someone compliments and says, I'm leveling up my care because of you. When someone says, I'm getting a chameleon because of you.
Yeah.
When someone says, I feel seen and heard because of you, to feel like you have a community. Yeah. Like, we're literally in her guest room right now.
Yeah.
Doing this.
There's a bed full of junk right there that you guys can't see.
So to feel like I'm getting teary about this too.
I know.
To feel like we're a part of something bigger. Like,
it's the whole reason, special. It's the whole reason why we did this. It's the whole reason why we started it. It's the whole reason, like our friendship has always been really special. I know. I'm like trying not to, but it's like, it's just so cool because like our friendship has always meant a lot to us, but like you guys get to be a part of that too, and getting to like have other people included in what makes us so happy and like how much fun we have.
I can't look at you.
I know. Don't look at me. I'll cry for more.
I'm gonna look at the camera.
It's so cheesy and it's so stupid, but it's like going to these things and having you guys show up and be there and just like, it just really means more to us than we can ever express. And we just want to, the whole reason we started this podcast is because we felt like there weren't enough girls that had a community in the hobby specifically for them. And also, there were at least 3 reptile guys, and we freaking love you too. You are reptile girlies. It is a genderless term. We don't care. We appreciate y'all 100%. So much. But it just like, we really wanted to create a community, and it just really feels like we have. And I'm just so proud of that. And I'm so just happy to have so many people be a part of it.
Absolutely. And like, this is just the beginning, guys, right?
Really
now I have something in my eye, and now my eye's leaking because I have something in my eye. But okay, moving on.
Next.
So we get done with the first meet and greet, and then Pangea gets hit with like the lunch rush.
Oh, it was insane. We were standing there, and we were like initially planning on after the meet and greet, like going off and like doing our own thing. But we looked around and we were like, oh, they need help.
They were slammed. They had like 4 lines coming out 4 different directions.
Crazy. So you got behind the register. Yep. You started helping packing bags.
Yep.
I went and worked the floor, which was, can we just talk about that for a hot second?
Yes.
Because that is so not my forte. And I've learned that I am really good at sales when I'm not selling myself or things that are involved with me. If it's somebody else's products, I'm actually really good at it.
Oh, good. Good. Because I was on bag duty. Yes. So I was like helping bag things, flipping barcodes. We had our stickers in front of the registers. Mm-hmm. So whenever someone came up, I was like, here, do you like podcasts? Yeah. You're a reptile girly? Mm-hmm. You know? And so I was like passing out a ton of stickers, which was great. So like we did that for like an hour.
Yeah.
Because it was like they got slammed.
No, they were so slammed. And I was like, we cannot leave you. You need help. Like we are here to help. So we just stepped in. Yeah. And but it was fun too, because I was excited when I was working the floor of like so many people were coming up to me and I was just asking, I was like, can I help you with anything? Is there anything, you're looking for, whatever? And they immediately, like so many of them, one person was holding a Colombian rainbow boa. One person had a new crusty. One person had a gargoyle gecko. One person had just bought a beardy. Like it was so many people came up to me and was like, hey, somebody said that I need this. And I'm like, here you go. And somebody else was like, they said that I need a substrate for high humidity. What is that? And I was like, I can help. So it was like really cool because I actually felt like I could utilize all my knowledge.
Yeah, because the Pangea booth really was like a storefront.
It
like,
really was.
Like, yeah. Truly everything you need from enclosure to substrate to like coverage to branches, whatever. Like you could confidently leave that booth and be like 99.9 if 100% of like what you needed. Totally. So it was like really, really awesome.
Totally.
Okay. So one thing also you talked about selling yourself. Yes. So like that's your, like,
I'm not good at that.
So I always...
You're very good at it.
I always like to reach out to some brands and just see if they're interested in potentially sponsoring the podcast, you know? So
you're like our little business manager.
I am. I deal with all the invoicing, everything else. So we did have a chance to talk to a few companies and a few brands. Got to meet Josh from Josh's Frogs for the first time.
Loved
the
that.
Reptilings guys, the Chewy guys, like plus a lot of folks that we like have seen at other shows. So like, who knows? Maybe future sponsors.
Super fun.
Coming soon. But like, that was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
We had the second meet and greet. We're going to breeze past that because no one needs to cry again.
Yeah.
But
I'm not crying anymore. I refuse.
But that was also really good. And then we did hibachi dinner with the Pangea crew. I'm a big hibachi fan. So that was just a lot of fun.
Oh, absolutely. And I really loved the hibachi dinner too, because I felt like we got to know the Pangea team even better.
Yep.
And, you know, we've obviously like hung out with them a lot, had dinners with them in the past, but this was kind of the first time we really got to like bond with like just them and their whole team at the table, which was really fun. And it was really cool. Just getting to kind of put some faces to names and really just kind of clicking. And we got a little bit, I got a little bit of the backstory of like kind of how Pangea started, which I think was really cool too.
Yeah.
So just learned a lot, met a lot of people, made some really good connections and new friends.
So dinner was done, like 9 p.m.?
Yeah.
9:30. And they're like, we're going out. And we're like, we're going to bed.
See ya.
No, there's no way, guys.
No. I wish.
Way.
Honestly, 25-year-old me would have had a great time. She would have had a ball. She would have been out until 2 a.m. She would have been partying. 32-year-old me.
No way.
Had one martini and went to bed.
No. And to be fair, we were in our beds, but we were up till midnight.
Oh, yeah.
Because we're like
Editing.
debriefing for one.
Yes.
Like we need a chance to like catch up and be like,
yes. Debriefing, decompressing, and then we have our lovely, what we call our silent bed editing time, where she sits in her bed, I sit in my bed, and we don't speak for like an hour, and we're just on our phones.
Yes, we're just editing or going through content, and it's so funny because we both do voiceovers, and I'm like, hey, because like she'll be playing audios for like videos and stuff. I'm like, hey, I'm gonna do a voiceover. Do you like? Are you in a good stopping spot for like
okay, your turn.
audio? And so then I'll do like my voiceover, and then we'll like take turns, and so because we were trying to post content like while
as we were going.
We're there, so we're like doing stories, we're replying to DMs, like the whole shebang.
Yeah.
Are you good on Saturday?
I think so. I think that's all that I had. That was a lot. Oh. Mm-mm.
Uh-oh.
Mm-mm. I nearly lost my tripod. The tripod fiasco.
Oh, yes. Okay.
That was insane. That actually happened at lunch.
Yeah, this was right before
our second meet and greet.
Yep.
And the second meet and greet, I think, was at 2. So this was around like 1.
Which we had lunch late.
Yes, we had lunch late. We were sitting in the hallway. I had my tripod selfie stick situation sitting behind me, and we just got up and left. And within like 4 minutes, I came running back and was looking for it, and it was gone.
Poof.
I freaked out. I start asking everybody in the vicinity. I was like, did you guys see what happened? Where was it? Did you guys see it? Did you see it at all? Did you just sit down? I don't know. And some people told me that some kids had taken it away. And so I was like, great. They either stole it or they took it to the front desk. Like, we don't know. And so thank God they ended up taking it to the front desk, and I got it on Saturday morning. But
there was a moment of panic.
There was a moment of panic, and I had to do a lap before.
I looked at her and I was like, do you need to take a lap?
It's like, I need to take a lap.
I was like, you take your time. I'll hold down the fort for the meet and greet. And plus, in like the first few minutes, like not a ton of people had showed up. But she like came back and was like, good. And then I misplaced my mic. It's just like a lot to juggle, like all your things. And I like had a backpack, but then like sometimes I need my tripod, and I was trying to do time lapses of the meet and greets, and like it's just, and then people like stop you, you know. And so like I think I just need to do a better job of like keeping track of my stuff. And if it's not in my hands, it goes in my bag. I cannot set it down anywhere because then it just gets like forgotten.
Lost. Yeah. So anyway, lesson learned.
So Sunday starts later. It's like a 10 a.m. start time. So it's like 9 a.m. for VIP. Yeah. We roll in, we check in again with the Pangea crew, and then we almost immediately end up doing an interview.
Yes.
So this is with Redline Report. We haven't been told yet when it's going to get posted, but we'll of course share on our like socials like when it comes out. But that's through Redline Shipping. We got to sit down with Brian.
Yeah.
What were your thoughts on that?
I loved it. I thought it was really great. So Brian, his last name's Cusco, right? I might be pronouncing that wrong, but Brian Cusco. So he sits down with different people throughout the weekend, and they do these like 10 to 15 minute interviews with different people. So it was really cool because he basically was kind of asking like, what's our origin story? Why did we start our podcast? Like, what's the, what are the goals? Like, what is it, meant for, and what our backgrounds are. And so it was really fun. It was a great just opportunity to kind of chit chat about the pod and get to know Brian too. We got to know him really well this weekend, which is great.
And it had like a whole backdrop set up and everything, which we appreciated because Brian was totally on the same page of us. Like, we like to do in person. Like, we don't do virtual guests. If we're going to do a guest, it's going to be at a show, which like does limit us, and we're like so mindful of that. But like Brian was on the same page. He's like, no, like being in person is the way to go. And like, we're very much on that same page. Yeah. So that was just really cool to kind of like experience. So
yeah, no, it was great. It was a really fun opportunity too. And always just nice to get to know somebody better.
So we did that. Then we got to like walk the booths for like a few minutes before we bumped into Cam's Reptiles.
Yeah,
which was a lot of fun. We haven't met her in person yet. She's like, oh, like, are you guys doing the enclosure build off?
Yeah.
And Adam from Wicked's Wicked Reptiles had invited us the day before. They were doing this enclosure build off, kind of like sponsored by Chewy, and like they were doing like voting and stuff like that. Yeah. And so there was one enclosure that was going to be like the content creator YouTuber one. So it was like a bunch of people working on this enclosure. And so we're like, oh yeah, we were planning on stopping by. So we'll just like go with you to so like
we
help
ended up
out.
Walking with Cam and her husband over to the specific area where these were. And so we just kind of got started. We like jumped in and we were like, okay, what can we do? We quickly found out that there essentially weren't enough branches needed for what we needed to do.
2 vines.
Yeah. The benda vines.
Yeah. Baby plants for what was probably like an 18.
I'm pretty sure it was
36.
I think it was a 24 by 18 by 36. So it was 36 inches tall, so 3 feet by 2 feet.
So it was like a decent size enclosure.
Yeah.
That 2 benda vines are not going to cut it. No. And so we're like, Adam, psst, psst.
Yeah, we need.
Come here.
We need a little more stuff.
We need more supplies. So we work our way over to the Pangea booth. Granted, you now have Adam from Wicked's Wicked Reptiles, Neptune the Chameleon, and Lyssa's Lizards.
In one spot.
Walking through. While Sunday was less busy than Saturday.
It was still packed.
It's still busy. We're getting stopped like
the whole
every
time.
2 feet. Yeah. Sometimes it's you. Sometimes it's me. Sometimes it's Adam. Yeah. Sometimes it's all of us. Yeah. I'm like, can I get a picture? And again, please stop us.
Always do that.
Literally the whole point.
Yes.
Just took us a little bit of time.
Yes.
To get there. So then we go to the Pangea booth and Adam like gives us a budget and he's like, okay, so like this is what you can work with. Yep. So we like get ourselves some sticks. So we like go back to the enclosure. We're like Jimmy rigging these sticks, but the Pangea guys mark their branches with colored zip ties.
For like which one's which price and stuff. So we obviously had to cut those zip ties off. There were no scissors in the vicinity. We asked because I'm not comfortable with a knife, obviously.
So she gets a box cutter. I'm holding the branch because we kind of have it wedged in there. Like if you put too much pressure on it, like it's gonna whatever. So like I'm like holding it, and I turn to you and I'm like, are my fingers out of the way? Because like I can't really see. And you're like,
yep. And I had mine like in front of you, and I was cutting it off here. But I was cutting it off, trying to cut forward, and for whatever reason, I sliced this way. And now I have this lovely, massive slice in my wrist.
Slices herself to the point it's probably the gnarliest cut I've seen in person.
No, it had cut through all the layers of skin.
All layers of skin.
I could see my own fat.
You could see the fatty layer.
Yeah.
And you go, oh, I just cut myself. And I go, what? And I look over and I'm like, oh. And then Adam, thinking you like barely cut yourself, I was like, "Oh, let me film
video." So he like whips his video out, and I'm looking at it, and I'm like, "Yeah." So I just cut myself, and then I looked at it further, and I was like, "Yeah."
So
I'm concerned.
I had already seen it, and I can tell Adam has no idea how bad it is. And I was like, "Medic." We need a medic. So if you watch Adam's video on YouTube, literally first 10 seconds is her, and you can hear my voice going, medic. We need a medic. Because I was just, what can I say quickly that will emphasize like that this is not serious. A paper cut. Like this is, and I didn't really know if it was about to like start gushing blood.
I was waiting for it to start gushing blood, and somehow it never did.
But I was like, raise your arm up, you know,
Yeah.
to help with it. Like, put pressure on it. So, like, we quickly put pressure, raise your arm. Adam tried to go find something. Security was like, no help. He's like, turns out there's not a medic here. So I guess that's a learning that maybe there.
Note to self.
Maybe there should be.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay. And then I go into like friend mode.
You went
right?
to full panic mode. Friend. Not
panic.
That's not what I meant. I just meant like,
don't throw me under the bus. I was very collected.
You were very calm, cool, and collected, but you went into like urgency mode. That's what I meant.
Of like, let me help my friend.
Yeah.
And everyone else around us was just like looking at her, but no one was taking action.
No one was taking action.
And I was like, we need something to like fix this.
Yes.
So I'm like running around.
And also, let's just throw this out there. It is in my personality, I never panic in these situations. I don't look like I'm scared. I don't look panicked. I immediately go into, I will survive.
But also, I feel like you were actually like fine though.
I was completely fine. It didn't hurt. It happened so quickly. It didn't hurt and it wasn't gushing blood. So I was sitting there with my arm raised and I was sitting there thinking, I was like, okay, I might need a stitch or two, but can I solve this problem so that we can get through the rest of the day and then get stitches later? Like I was literally in my head trying to calculate like how urgent is this really?
We also have a meet and greet in 15 minutes.
Yeah, that was also the thing. I was like, okay, how can I bandage this up so that I can get through the meet and greet, get through the rest of the afternoon and then go get stitches?
Yes. So I'm like kind of jogging because this is like a really long convention center.
Not small.
And I'm about to go like twist someone's arm to get me some like if Adam can't get through security, I'm gonna get through to security. Like we are finding a first aid kit. I so happen to bump into the owner of Pangea.
Yes, Matt.
So I was like, hey, Matt, do you guys have a first aid kit? So then of course asking that question prompts a like, what's going on? I was like, let's look at her arm. He's like, yeah, we got one. So he goes and grabs the first aid kit and he's like, where is she? And I'm like, follow me. Because we're in this like back room in the convention center and you're just chilling. So eventually we find butterfly bandages. Yes. The VP of Chewy.
Guys, I'm so embarrassed.
VP of Chewy.
And not of just like Chewy Exotics, of like all of Chewy.
Like third in command of the entire company, okay?
I'm so embarrassed.
Who we also had dinner with. Yes. But like is helping put bandages. We had to get like the alcohol wipies and I was like, okay, ready, go. And like, cause it's a box cutter. That's not sanitary.
No. Which also had probably prior just been used to cut open like dirty branches.
Yes.
So like.
So we like disinfect it. We use the little butterfly stuff. We get you all situated. And honestly, you were in really good shape.
I was fine. I was totally great. And it honestly never even bled that much. I don't know how I think it's because we put pressure on it and raised it up super fast. Because there was a moment that I brought it down and it did start to bleed pretty bad. But then as soon as I lifted it back up, it was fine.
Yeah.
So it happened very quickly, but it was solved pretty quickly. But I did have like the owner of Pangea at CVS looking for butterfly bandages for me.
Yep.
And the VP of Chewy bandaging my arm.
Yep.
And
Adam filming it.
I'm literally so embarrassed.
So anyways, we do all that. We go to the meet and greet. Yep. Like, you're good. And
10 minutes later.
And then throughout the day, she's like, it only hurts if I poke it. And I'm like, stop poking it.
Because it was a little swollen.
And you're like, it only hurts if I poke it really hard. I'm like,
then don't do that.
Stop poking it.
I was like a 5-year-old being like, Mom, it hurts when I touch it.
I'm like, knock it up. So anyways, we were all good.
Yes.
And Sunday was good.
And I will say also the Fear to Fascination guys, who were also a big part of, they were building their own enclosure at the Chewy build-off. They were so wonderful. Immediately helped kind of like look at me. He was like, breathe. You're going to be good. And I was like, you're right. I'm going to be good. And it like totally got me into like a Zen mode. And I was like, we're good. I'm fine. I don't know what you guys, we good. Like it was a really good like mental reset. So big fans of the F2F guys. So thank you so much.
So we eventually saw the rest of the show. We already kind of covered all the animals. We saw one that popped in my head. There was like a really high coverage lily white that I really liked.
Those were insane.
That was a lot of fun.
Oh, and to go back to the albino anaconda.
Yes.
So the reason that I was very hesitant holding it was because I had a literal open wound on me. And I was like, probably not like ideal to have a snake like smelling blood on me, you know? Like I didn't think he would like totally bite, but Megaconda did be like, she did tell us like he did try to bite me earlier today. And so I was like, okay, you know, I could go without a snake bite on top of an open wound. That would be cool to avoid. So I was definitely a little bit like stiffened up, not super comfy holding that snake because I was like, and he was like he was like coming down around on my wrist. And I was like, oh, please don't think that I'm a rat. Please.
Just her turning to me like, do you want to hold it? Like, no.
No.
I'm so good.
You're so not a snake girl. And this is why we love you.
No. I have held snakes before.
Yeah.
I just am not experienced enough to handle an anaconda that was feisty earlier in the day. Like I don't know enough about snake body language and how to adjust my handling to like accommodate for that. It would be not good.
In your defense too, anacondas in particular are a little bit more unpredictable because they are a semi-aquatic snake, so they can turn at different angles that other snakes can't.
I've held a ball python that was in a ball.
Yeah. So
that's very different.
I'm like very comfortable handling like an anaconda, obviously to an extent, but like with an open wound, I was definitely like, please don't think I'm a rat. Please don't think I'm a rat. Because I cannot handle a feeding response on top of an open wound right now.
No. Okay, so we did that. We had the other meet and greet on Sunday. That was also fabulous.
So great.
Show ended early as like 4 p.m. or whatever instead of like 5 p.m. on Saturday. So it definitely felt like it went quicker.
Oh my God. The last like 2 hours, we were running around like madmen because we were like, okay, we need to go see the Red Line Shipping guys. We need to go see the Crosstown Exotic guys.
We
need to go do this
and stuff.
We also need to be back at the Pangea booth at a certain time to help tear down.
Yep.
Like, so it was very chaotic the last like 2 hours because it was like, everybody's leaving in 2 hours. Go. Like it was nuts.
Yes. And then people were tearing down early.
Yes.
As well, which is, that happens at shows.
Yeah.
So show ends, probably took us like an hour and a half to tear down everything.
Which the Pangea team very much told us, they were like, this is the fastest we've ever gotten out of here. So we tore it down quick.
Yeah. And then homegirl with her cut is like trying to lift heavy boxes and she's like, ow, that hurts. I'm like, stop it. Stop doing stupid stuff.
If there's anything you guys should know about me, if I ever get hurt, I'm going to push through it. It's who I am. I can't help it.
I'm like, just lift something a little smaller, okay? Whatever. But granted, I was literally in the ER like 3 days prior. So
Shut up. Like, we're the same. We're the same. Don't even.
So it's whatever. We're just gimpy over here. But anyway, so I teared everything down. We very much just like hibernated in our hotel.
Yes.
We ordered food in and like that really was a wrap on the weekend.
Yeah.
Then we've been hibernating basically up until now.
Oh yeah, we haven't even seen each other because I was like, look, I love you so much, but like I need to go into my hidey hole and not come out.
Same. Neither of us have unpacked our suitcases.
No, they haven't. My suitcase is still on the floor in our bedroom.
Same. So anyways, I think this is probably a longer episode. I don't even know what the timestamp is, but we did not want to leave anything out because like this truly was a fantastic weekend. We both still remember Tinley 2021 being a fantastic show, and this just like goes to show that like show. Okay, calm down. Yeah. But that this was like a really like worth time. I don't know.
So worth it for anybody. Like if you aren't local to like the Chicago or Illinois area or like just the Midwest, I guess in general, is it the Midwest?
Yeah.
Is that considered the Midwest?
Yes.
I thought so. Okay. But if you're like in the area, if you're not in that area, and if you ever are like, what shows should I go to? And you have the desire to possibly potentially travel, but you're wondering if it's worth it. It is worth it. I cannot stress this enough, how worth it Tinley is. It is. It's the highest quality of like animals in terms of like variety. Like the variety is just insane. The people are incredible. It's just such like a high energy event. And I literally already can't wait for the next time we go. It's incredible.
Yep. So catch us at Dallas, NARBC.
Yes.
That's going to be March 20th, 29th.
Which is this episode coming out after or
I don't
before?
know. Who knows on
the
the timing. I think if you have early access, this will probably come out leading up to that weekend. If not, it has already happened. So we'll do an episode for that as well. Yeah. Do you want to close this out?
Yeah, I guess. So you guys can Well, I'm so bad at the outros, let's be honest.
Okay. Follow us. You know the drill. If you want some reptile girly merch, check us out in the description box. You can follow me everywhere, Neptune the Chameleon.
Yes. And me everywhere at Lyssa Lizards. And you can follow the podcast everywhere at the Wild Type Podcast.
See, nailed it.
Thanks. I know. I was so excited about all the Expo stuff that I just kept going.
I love it. I love it. Well, thank you guys so much for tuning in. And we will see you very soon in another episode.
Thanks for listening.
Bye.